Ladies and gentlemen, now you have all these YouTubers trying to hype you up because Senate Democrats are slamming the Small Business Administration because they capped the amount of grant money that small business owners and applicants of the Economic Injury Disaster Loan were supposed to receive to $1,000 per employee from $10,000 per applicant, as per the CARES Act. And now they're talking about, woohoo! We're going to get our $10,000 each and every applicant. I will not rest until each and every one of you small business owners receives $10,000 as the CARES Act mandates. Donald Trump, President Donald J. Trump, is the person who is stopping you from getting your money. Why? Because the Small Business Administration is part of the executive branch of government. Who's the boss of the executive branch? President Donald Trump. Do you think that director of the grants program, Miss Kimberly S. Butler, would have put out that memo on April 7th that instructed the SBA to give out $1,000 per employee, breaking the law, breaking the CARES Act, if, for instance, her boss, the Small Business Administration Director Javita Carranza, would have frowned on that idea, and she would have let that slide if Donald Trump would have said, no, don't do it. He probably told her to do it. He probably told Javita Carranza, listen, we're only going to give out $1,000 per employee. Forget about the $10K. We'll deal with the backlash later. And we won't even talk about it that much. I don't know. Maybe he's in cahoots with the media because not even the mainstream media grills him about this. Not on national TV. You do get some reports on the Economic Injury Disaster Loan online and how Senate Democrats are slamming the SBA, and there's lawsuits and information that you have to find. You have to spend more time in order to find. But no report on national TV tells them what's up with the Economic Injury Disaster Loan grant. Why are business owners only receiving $1,000 per employee when the CARES Act mandates that every applicant for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan was to receive $10,000? Why not? They don't tell him about that. All he does is talk about the great success of the Paycheck Protection Program loan, how they've disbursed 2.2 million loans worth $175 billion, and talks about how that's going to put over 60 million Americans back to work. That's all they talk about. And when you want to talk about additional stimulus, where does he pivot to? I want payroll tax cuts. I want capital gains tax cuts. I want people to be able to deduct their expenses to go out to restaurants and to watch athletic events, to hit the stadiums and everything again. That's what he wants. He wants everyone back to work. Spacely Sprockets. He's on George Jetson's ass. He wants everybody grinding again. That's exactly what he wants. Payroll tax cuts is going to benefit a limited amount of people that are actually working. But he's trying to get people to work, to get back to work with the Paycheck Protection Program. But there's just two differences between what can potentially become a grant with the Paycheck Protection Program and the no questions asked grant that you get from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. As I said, it's a no questions asked grant. They deposit the money in your account. You can basically do whatever you want with it. The right thing to do is to do something to support your business. Perhaps spend it on marketing. Perhaps hire someone that can help you with marketing or your business operations. Pay off some rent that's past due. Do something with it to grow your business. But you don't have to show any proof that you actually did that. You can go party in the Bahamas once this thing is over. Eating some blackened snapper out in, what was it called? The trash bin or something like that? Some place that I went to out there that served the best snapper on the planet I've ever sunken my teeth into. Anyway, EIDL, no questions asked grant. Paycheck Protection Program, you have to produce documentation that you actually spent at least 75% of that PPP loan money on payroll costs and the rest on approved expenses. They haven't even listed, the Small Business Administration has not even listed what are the requirements? What documentation you have to produce in order to prove that you used it on all these approved expenses? And they just put out new guidance, which reads that companies are going to have to prove that they actually had a need for this stuff, that they didn't have any other credit facilities available to them when they applied for this. So that's a problem. They even extended the amount of time that you have to give the money back. Now it's May 14th. In 2 days, you get a chance to give it back. No questions asked. They want you to give the money back. You don't think they're going to inspect with a fine-tooth comb every single request for forgiveness that business owners file? Absolutely. Because this is not just a $10,000 or $1,000 grant. This is tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars worth of free money that they will potentially have to give out to business owners. They're not trying to do that, man. They're not really trying to do it. That's why they're putting out all these guys are trying to scare people. Listen, give it back. And there are companies with legal teams that are giving this stuff back. People talk about, because of the media backlash. Come on. In the beginning, yeah, they may suffer from some sales losses, but eventually people go back to the same organizations. They keep on going back. Look, Target had some credit issues, some issues with their data breaches and such. People still hitting Target. I still hit Target. What was it? Was it BP or Exxon? One of these oil companies had a big spill and they had all this backlash because of it. People still going back. They're still going back. People keep on going back. They got the heart attack grill. People actually get heart attacks after eating there. And people still hop on those skyscraper-sized burgers that they sell up in that joint, man. You get a nosebleed if you were to stand on top, if you were to step on that burger. I'll tell you that much, okay? You got to look up to look at the sesame seed on the top of the bun, even if you're standing at the very top of the Freedom Tower. Okay, anyway. Donald Trump is the one who is not giving you your money. He's the one. He's the boss of the executive branch. His job and all of his cabinet members is to execute the laws, not to interpret the laws and put out rules that contradict the laws. Barack Obama in 2012, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, announced that the SBA, Director or Administrator, I forgot the exact title, is a cabinet level position. That's why Donald Trump keeps Javita Carranza on the hip. Cabinet level position. They're all in cahoots. You see, they keep the same lines whenever they're speaking, the same messaging. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was on CNBC yesterday, May 11th. And he told Jim Cramer that right now they're stepping back and they want to evaluate the economic impact of the trillions of dollars that they've already pumped into the economy. Same thing that Larry Kudlow said. We're not getting into additional stimulus in the month of May. Said that last week, which you could probably classify as the beginning of May. Now it is May 12th. They're saying, all right, it's just a couple of weeks now. They're stalling. They're stalling. It's only a couple of weeks you have to wait in order for us to start formal negotiations, because now YouTubers want to hype you up. Like, all of these publications, Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, they mischaracterized what Larry Kudlow said on Friday, that they are going on a pause and they're not going to start talking about any new stimulus in the month of May or anytime soon. That no, they're really in informal talks. Informal talks. What are informal talks? Informal talks, Larry Kudlow could be curling up. He could be doing curls to build up his biceps with his 2-pound dumbbell. And he's got Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer on a Zoom chat that's hooked up to his Peloton somehow. And they're talking about, you must be crazy. I'm not going to give the American people $10,000 a month. Burn? You wildin'. I want what you burning, man. I want to burn with the burn. Trying to steal my line, Larry. Anyway. But he's like, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. You need the publicity. You need to go back to your people and tell them, listen, we did all we could for you, but these guys aren't budging. They're not budging. They're greedy capitalists, right? And I'm trying to institute this democratic socialism that's, that's going to help save us all. And everyone's going to be in UBI nirvana after this. And we're going to be the best, even better than the best country on the planet because of it. And we're going to take the lead and everyone else is going to follow suit. Everybody else on the planet, right? And anyway, basically, Kudlow's like, listen, we'll take the backlash. We'll talk you down in terms of what you're requesting. And we'll take the heat. We don't see a big backlash coming from our base. That's what they eventually see. That's what Donald Trump sees. He doesn't see a big backlash coming from his base because of this. Understand? Otherwise, he would tell Ms. Carranza, listen, go out and give them $10,000 as what they're requesting. Maybe people in their base, they really don't care. I mean, to tell you the truth, no offense, with all due respect to everybody in red states, but I have browsed through data that reads that the cost of living is like at the 1920s level. Now, that's an exaggeration, but it is low. It is lower in red states than it is in blue states, meaning states that represent Republicans, where basically Donald Trump's and the rest of the Republican-led Senate, where their base exists, where they live. And then in blue states, I mean, it's crazy out here. I mean, if they were to give me that $10,000 grant for my family of 4 people, that'd be $8,000 actually. I could probably only afford half a toilet seat in Manhattan, paying rent, not even buying it, man. So that's probably what they're considering anyway. But no offense to red states. I love red. I love my blue states. I love my people in my red states. I love my people in my blue states, because it's not about that. It's about the red, white, and blue, even purple. They're trying to classify, they're trying to divide us, man. Who's purple? When have you seen a purple human? I'm hazelnut, baby. They're trying to divide us. We are all part of the red, white, and blue. Red for the valor. Red blood pumps in my veins, baby, not Kool-Aid. Blue because we're chiefs. We run shop on this planet. America is the greatest superpower ever known to man. What? I'll say it. And I appreciate everything that this government has done for me so far. I know. I've seen some parts of the rest of the planet. And I know that this is the best planet in which you can live. Ever. Okay? But if the law that makes this country great, that has made this country great, who was it? Andrew Jackson? He took the oath of office by putting his hand on a book of laws that had the Constitution, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was Andrew Jackson. I'll go ahead and look it up, and I'll fact check myself if I'm wrong. The laws that make this country the greatest democratic experiment ever seen on the face of this earth calls for giving me more, then I'm going to call you out, President Donald Trump. He is the one that is stopping you from getting your 10K. He's the one that could do it. He could sign an executive order right now. He said, I sign an executive order and I direct the Small Business Administration to disburse $10,000 to every single applicant of the economic injury disaster loan. Why doesn't he do it? You go on whitehouse.gov. It clearly reads. I'm not a lawyer, but it clearly reads. The president has the power to sign executive orders, to direct executive officers, to clarify laws. If they got it wrong, if they have it twisted, Ms. Javita Carranza, by any means, and she doesn't have it twisted. Trust me, because she's not dumb. This lady is hardcore. She's from Skokie, Illinois. 64,000 people. $32,000 medium income. No, not median, average income, right? Her mother was a housewife. Her father worked at a factory. She used to read, reportedly. Her mother used to reportedly read every page of the newspaper in order to learn how to speak English. She's a Chicana. And then she went out, she got her education. She was working at a department store at the age of 16. She was loading shipments in docks, in a warehouse in UPS, working the Dracula shift. And she moved herself up. She climbed up the corporate ladder to become vice president of operations in Latin America and the Caribbean for UPS, the highest ranking Latina in UPS history. Now she is the highest ranking public official, the highest ranking Latina public official in the Donald Trump administration. So she knows what she's doing. Her signature is on a dollar bill. She's like the Princess Zamunda, Eddie Murphy, and Coming Back to America. The lady has her own money. But I don't care how many dollars she signs. Donald Trump is ultimately her boss, so she knows what's up. I mean, and she's been noted for making contributions to the Hispanic community. Hispanics are suffering the highest unemployment rate among any ethnic group, 18.9%. Blacks are at 16.7%. And it's still not a record high for blacks. So, if anything, you could probably, it'd be safe to assume, I don't know if she'd be able to do that. I don't know her personally. Maybe she'd say, wow, Hispanics are really suffering. Let's go ahead and give that 10K, because I know Hispanics, Hispanics have a higher unemployment rate because they're working in industries that are more affected by the entire pandemic. So perhaps you would say, listen, let's move forward to help my Latinos, I mean, and everybody else, because everybody else needs it. I know that you need that money. I know you need it. But Donald Trump does not want you to have it because he wants to get by spending as little money as possible. Understand what I'm saying? That's basically it. He said it himself. People will die, but we have to reopen this country. He's looking at unemployment rates, 14.7% for the entire country. He wants to drop it down. He wants to hack at that unemployment as quickly as possible before the November election comes in. So by reopening the economy, he's like, you know what? People can get back to work. I can go ahead and slash that a few points, and I could show that I did show some type of success, that I was successful in getting our country back on track. And 2021 is going to be an explosive year. And that's his messaging for the campaign in 2020. And he sees himself getting reelected. And then, he keeps putting people back to work. But that's not going to happen if he gives out $10,000 to each and every applicant of the economic injury disaster loan, according to him. Because people are going to have more of an incentive to say, you know what? As a business owner, I'm going to do the responsible thing, the right thing. I'm not going to, if I got an extra $10,000 in the bank account, I'm not going to force my employees to go back to work. Let's hold off for a couple of more weeks. So until everything blows over and people can healthily and safely come back to work. They'll do that. But if you're short on funds, you be more encouraged to say, you know what? You got more of a sense of urgency. I need to open this thing quickly because everyone's got to get fed. We've got to do something. They've got all kinds of delays on unemployment insurance. I mean, that's another thing. With the Paycheck Protection Program loan, they got people so scared. Like I told you before, companies with legal teams that are giving the stuff back. Companies are like, my employees can make more money off of unemployment. So why take the PPP? Let's go ahead and give that back. Let's throw that back in your court. It's not even enough to pay my employees or pay all my employees. So a lot of organizations just giving it back. And that's what he's touted. That's what he's saying is a big success. Every time they ask him about new stimulus, what's he talking about? Payroll tax cuts, capital gains cuts, deductions for expenses when you go out to watch a ball game or to take a client out for a meal. 100% expenses as opposed to the 50% deduction that businesses get now. That's what he's shooting for. And the Republicans want liability protections for organizations. And then at the same time, you got all these YouTubers talking about, that psychologically he really meant that, he's going to seriously consider it. Perhaps one payment, that's what I see. That's my opinion. Perhaps another payment, one more round of payment. But come on, man. $10,000 a month for a family of 3, including back pay dating back to March. If I had 3 kids, I'd be getting a check for $30,000 out the gate. I think the federal government would be more likely to put a hit out on you, man. It would be a lot cheaper, for real. I don't think it's going to happen. And that's just the beginning. Because after that, it's recurring payments until the pandemic blows over. What if there's a second wave coming of the pandemic and people start or we're reopening the economy too soon. And you start to get spikes again in cases and everything. So you don't know what's going to happen. I'm all for it. Don't get it twisted. I'm Jamaica, Queens, New York. That's one of the poorest neighborhoods here, and I think in the country. Jamaica, Queens, Jamaica South Suicide Queens, man. Onyx is from there. That's where 50 Cent is from. He got shot, 9 times there? He's always talking about the same stuff. Anyway, so I'll take what I can get. That's not a problem for me, and I'll make it happen. I wake up every day, 5 a.m., to ensure that my contribution to make this country greater than it already is, I do it nonstop to ensure I can provide for my family and other people who are in need. That's why I dropped this video, because I just want to let you know what I think, the way I see things. I've been around enough times to see, and I don't take any political preferences. I don't say that Trump just sucks because I live in a blue state, or Bernie is the man because I live in a blue state, or Bernie is a socialist because I'm more of a capitalist because I've worked with both shops, actually. I've worked with both sides of the aisle. I've worked with the Donald Trump organization at one particular point. It was before politics, nonetheless. I helped raise about $200,000 for the Manhattan Golf Classic. Excuse me, through the Manhattan Golf Classic for some Harlem charities, and he was partaking in that particular event. And I worked with the Barack Obama presidential campaign back in 2012, fact-checking. So I see things from both sides of the aisle. I try to be as objective as possible. And as I said before, we are not red states. We're not blue states. We're not red people. We're not blue people. We rep the red, white, and blue of the United States of America. God bless each and every one of you. God bless our country. God bless the rest of the people on this planet. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comment section below. If you liked the video, click the like button. Click the subscribe button to stay on top of all the developments of the stimulus package and everything else that lawmakers and public officials have in store. Talk soon.